they earn more privileges. Those are all rewards. Whereas a bribe is something such as money or a favor offered or given to someone in a position of trust to induce him or her to act dishonestly. So none of those things are bribes. We're not trying to get the kids to act dishonestly. In fact, we're trying to do quite the opposite. We want them to be honest, upright, fine young men. Whereas a reward is something given or offered, especially for special service involving honest behavior, a satisfying result. So the roles of parenting in order of priority is first to be a disciplinarian, training expected to produce a specified type or pattern of behavior, especially training that produces moral or mental improvement, a systematic method to obtain obedience, a state of order based on submission to rules and authority. Here you see this little boy. Why do I need to learn potty training? Is it something I'll use later in life? Will it help me get into a good college? Do chicks dig guys who are potty trained? So it's not always easy to get the kids to do what we're asking them to do, but we know we're trying to get them to do it because we know that it's going to help them be more successful in life or have a happier life. And so we just want the best for them. And by we, I mean you and all of us here at Cherry Gulch. Whereas a friend, that also is something that a parent should do, to be a supportive, loving, encouraging, kind of cheerleader for your son in a lot of ways, to be a friend, a person whom one knows, likes, and trusts. But that first part, being a parent, being a disciplinarian, is a much more important role of being a parent. We need to show them the way that we want them to go. So the 7 cardinal sins of parenting would be too much talking and nagging things, tirades, showing anger and veins popping out of your head and throwing something across the room, because that's not appropriate role modeling for how to deal with situations. It also is used sometimes more to scare kids into submission rather than teaching and leading and showing and guiding. Tears, sadness, and guilt trips. We're not saying that tears are bad, but we're saying that in reference to dealing with your child and getting your child to do something, then it's important that you have that backbone, that you're strong, that you know what your kids know, that you're going to stand behind what you're saying. And guilt trips, we don't want to use guilt trips. Our kids use those on us. I hate you, Mom or Dad, or you're not a good parent, or I'll never love you again. And so we want to make sure that we're not using that with them. Terror, that threats of violence. Again, we don't want to be punching our fist in the wall or making the kids think that we're going to hurt them to get them to do what we want them to do. Inconsistency, that's a huge one, both within and between parents. So, even for divorced families, right, we need to try to have consistency in rules and expectations. And it doesn't mean that Mom's house has to be just like Dad's house, but fundamentally we have to be on the same page. And as a parent, I don't want to be saying this and doing this time, and next time doing it a different way, or expecting something different the next time, yet something different again, because that raises the kids' anxiety. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to expect. They don't know what it's going to take to please us, because they don't know what we really want. And that can be really frustrating, and it also leads to more challenges and problems. Openly disagreeing about discipline in front of the children. That's where I talked about like pillow talk. You go into the other room, you go where your son can't hear you, and you talk about it. And if you have to battle it out, you battle it out, and you come to an agreement or a compromise that you both agree is the direction you want to go. And then even if it wasn't quite the way that you wanted it, maybe my wife thought that 2 hours of video game playing a night was okay, and I was thinking, geez, I don't want any of it, and we agreed on an hour. It's like, okay, but now we've said it, and I'm going to go forward and show that we're a unified front, my wife and I. And for those of you that are single parents, then it's easier. For those of you with the divorced spouse, it's a little harder, but you can still do it. Even for families that aren't on the same roof, you can still make this program work. And in fact, this can help a lot, because so many times boys will try to do what we call parent shopping or staff shopping we use here, where they're trying to go to one parent, and if that one says no, they go to the other parent, and then they'll pit one parent against the other one, triangulation, right, where I'm saying, well, mom lets me do it, or dad, you're such a jerk, because mom lets me do this all the time, and it just kind of creates a conflict, and then dad's like, well, why are you letting him do that, and so you can see how that's not good. And then just that treating your children like they're slaves, that lack of reciprocity. So, yeah, we expect them to do work and chores and things, but we're doing work and chores too. We're not just kind of expecting them to do everything while we're kicking up our feet. So, reasons why family rules might fail in the home. One is those cardinal sins of parenting, which we just talked about. A two, which is really big, is the parents' unwillingness to put forth the time and energy necessary to implement family rules. However, parents truly expend much more time and energy trying to haphazardly manage the chaos in their home via flying by the seats of their pants than they would if they correctly and consistently implemented the family rules in their home. That correctly and consistently is a really important theme through this presentation, the implementation of family rules. So, but if you think about it, this is pretty simple, this system, and once we get it going and it's working, it's so much easier than just kind of trying to figure it out every day along the way and dealing with all these arguments. We kind of get it fine-tuned so the boy knows exactly what to expect, and then he doesn't need to challenge you as much. And I think that the logical consequences and natural consequences are really, really good. Those are good things, but it's also a lot more difficult for parents if, say, a kid was walking by a homeless person and was kind of rude to him or something, then you could say, well, I'm going to have him serve at a homeless shelter for 3 weeks or for 3 days or however long, and you still could do that if he did something, but it's nicer and easier for the parents just to know, okay, this is how it works. If he's disrespectful to someone, then he's going to pull 10 cards for being disrespectful. Another kind of difficult area would be parents are unwilling to practice what they preach. Do as I say, not as I do. Practicing ongoing hypocrisy is unacceptable. So if one of the rules is no cussing, then as a staff person here at Cherry Gulch or a parent, I'm going to not cuss either. And if I do cuss, I'm going to draw some healthy habit cards. In fact, I had the TCU versus Boise State football game didn't go very well for us Boise State fans, and one of our staff, in the heat of the moment while they were at the stadium there, we have season tickets for some of the boys to go and watch the games, a bad word slipped out of his mouth, which we don't want them to be cussing here at Cherry Gulch. But the staff member came up to me and told me that he had done this. He apologized, and I said, "Well, did you pull some cards?" He said, "Oh yeah, I pulled my cards," and that's good. Sometimes I'll even bump my toe and let something mild slip out just so I can show the kids that I'm pulling the cards too. So we're not doing this just because I want to control you or I'm trying to boss you around. We're doing this for family unity, for family harmony, to make our community better for everybody, to make it safer. and generally speaking, the kids do feel safer when there's some set rules, when they know what to expect, and as they're feeling safer, there's less anxiety. Or sometimes parents might have unresolved issues of their own from their childhood concerning authority. They both parents are engaging in a power struggle with one another and don't want to give up their illusion of control because of marital discord or whatever. Parents may misuse family rules to promote their own rigid agenda, then accuse family rules of being rigid rather than owning their own issues when it blows up in their face. So you can create family rules to fit your own values and things, and it's not meant to be a super rigid thing. It's meant to be fluid. You can modify it and change it to fit your family's needs and lifestyles and what's coming up for you. But it's not created to rule with an iron fist, basically. So some parents are struggling with their unresolved mental health issues. So if someone is an active alcoholic or things like that, then that's going to cause problems. That's going to make it hard to implement the system. And then, of course, kids use tactics to manipulate their parents as well, such as guilt trips and divide authority and conquer. That's where we're talking about, pitting one parent against another. Anger, fear. Anger, I hate you guys. Fear, if you don't do what I say, if you don't give me what I want, then I'm gonna cut my wrists, or I'm gonna run away. I've got to try to get this thing to stop ringing, but I can't seem to. Let's see. And then I didn't figure it out. Childhood struggles that might interfere with compliance would be, a lot of the things that our kids are dealing with. And yeah, it does interfere with compliance, but we've got to be patient and we stick with it. And as we set this program in place, we expect that the kids are not going to like it at first. They don't want to be told what to do. They don't want to follow the rules. They don't want us to have any consequences. So they may actually act out worse when we implement this program temporarily, right? Because they may not be used to that anymore. They may have kind of been able to get their parents so that they weren't enforcing the rules, or they didn't have any rules to follow. So we'll see them sometimes kind of try to go under kind of the boundaries we set up, or over or through it or around it, and temporarily they might actually, there be a spike in their behavior where they're worse. But ultimately, as we're being firm, we're being consistent, we're following through with the consequences, it's going to drop their behavior down to a better baseline behavior that it's going to be a lot easier to deal with. In boys this age, they have a lot of issues going on. At your age, Tommy, a boy's body goes through changes that are not always easy to understand. And it's true, and not only their body, right, but their hormones and everything else. And so boys can be pretty irritable at this age. It's definitely a challenging age. So family rules. Fashion a list of rules for the family is the F in family. Nothing goes on the list of family rules unless both parents are in agreement. Now, that's both parents in your household. We would highly encourage you to have a conference call or meet up with even your ex to say, hey, this is what we're doing, and we really think it'd work better if your household participated too. Let's kind of work on these family rules together. And you wouldn't necessarily have to agree on everything, but the closer it is to the same, the easier it's going to be for the boys. The more of a unified front you're presenting, the better it's going to be. So make sure, though, especially that